guess we're going to get started here. Thanks for attending my talk today about cover 3 adjustments, multiple passing concepts. My name is Ulz Däuber. I'm the head coach of the Dresden Monarchs. First of all, I want to thank Martin. I don't know if Martin's still in here. He's probably running around with his hair on fire. I want to thank him for inviting me over here. I go back all the way to when Martin was still playing our coach at the Franklin Knights, and I was a defensive coordinator for the Unicorns. He brought a new quarterback, and they scored on a touchdown last second game, and we lost the game and didn't make it to the playoffs and so forth, so I really love him for that. But no, I appreciate what he's doing. I think this is an amazing event. I've coached for 18 years. I'm originally from Schwäbisch Hall. Also ich könnte das auch auf Deutsch machen, aber das ist irgendwie alles leicht auf Englisch für mich. I lived then for 18 years in the US. I coached at the University of Wisconsin-Platteville for 18 years and then came back 2 years ago. And very, very fortunate to have the opportunity to coach in the GFL, very fortunate to have the opportunity to coach for the Dresden Monarchs. And so I'm going to go into cover 3 adjustments to multiple passing concepts. We are predominantly a one high cover 3 team. That's kind of what we're doing. Did fairly well in the passing game last year. I guess that's why Martin asked me to talk about that. And I'm trying the Cowboy remote. We'll see if I'm smart enough to figure that out or not. Okay, yes, this worked. General thoughts, cover 3, why cover 3, what we're doing. One of the main things that when we talk defense in Dresden is that there are 2 premises that we got to do. On one hand, we got to be able to be gap sound. Now, talking choice downs, first down, second medium, and so forth. Not long yardage downs, not special downs or anything like that. Mainly talking choice downs for the most part. So we want to be gap sound. We want to be able to stop the run. We want to put people in a position where we don't have to have too many 2-gap players, steal gaps or so forth. That's why we decide to go to one high cover 3 system, so to speak. That's one of the main reasons. The other thing is that we always talk about you got to be able eventually to stop 4 verticals. If the offense gives you a 4 vertical threat, you got to find a way to stop 4 verticals. Cover 3 is not the best thing to stop 4 verticals because you only got 3 guys deep. But we try to find ways to stop 4 verticals. So those are the 2 premises that we, with any defense, with any system that we look at, that we always talk about. So like I said, we want to be gap sound. Next thing is, I like it myself that we have one high safety, that we have a middle of the field close coverage, and that we have post safety help. Always goes back to bad experience, I guess. When I was at UW-Platteville, first time in the playoffs, played our first playoff game. It was first down, stopped them. We got the defense out right away. First down, we stopped them for negative play. So it was 2nd and 15. We're all excited. We're going to a cover 4 look, so to speak, and the offense checks a play, and they throw a deep post route. The corner was in perfect position, started to undercut the play, and the ball just got longer and longer and longer. They scored in the 2nd offensive play, and we lost the game basically right there because we didn't trust ourselves anymore. And from there on out, at Platteville, we said, hey, we like post safety help, and because that wouldn't have happened, and that's one of the reasons why I like it. Maybe I'm scared of those long post plays or so, but that's one of the reasons why I do it, and I'm in the fortunate position of being the head coach and the defensive coordinator, so I said we're going to play a one high safety system. Pretty easy. When we play cover 3, we talk a lot about overlapping zones. When you're in a cover 3, you got to figure out how to play inside out overlap zones, because you're a guy. A lot of times you're either a guy short underneath or you're a guy short over top. And this thing is falling apart here on me, so I'll just put it here. That's what we talk a lot about with our guys, that we want to overlap zones, that we play everything inside out, because we're going to give up something somewhere, and that's what we'll have to do. And then we talk a lot about eye control. Was just over there in the Dean's talk sheet. That's one of the first things that she talked about, eye control. With a one high safety, middle of the field closed system, we have a lot of eyes on the quarterback. Most of the times we have some different variations that we can do certain things, but we also like having multiple eyes on the quarterbacks, giving us chances to react to what the offense is doing, and eventually The ball comes from the quarterback, so if you can see where the ball is coming from, you have a great chance of getting there when the ball is coming out. That's what we're doing with that. Then looking at, talk about gap sound, and that's a whole nother can of worms. That's why I put that on there. This is not going to be my speech today talking about being gap sound with that. You got to talk one back, two back. You got to talk about pulling a lineman. Eventually, you're probably going to talk about stealing gaps and so forth. If you're listening to the Unicorns, they steal gaps left and right. It seems like they got 15 guys in the field because Johnny found a way to steal like 10 gaps with one guy. And I haven't figured that out yet. I'm not that smart. But then you also got to involve defensive backs in the run fit somehow if you want to be gap sound. But that's a whole nother presentation. But that's the thing that you got to talk about and that you got to think about when you're looking at a cover 3 system. Looking more, what I stressed in the beginning, having a post safety back there. For us, we talk a lot, where's your help? Whenever we go out there on defense, you got to find help. You get the 12th man, you get the sideline. Great that they put a sideline on both sides, so both corners have a sideline on their side. They were pretty happy about that. But they also know, our corners know, for the majority of the time they will have post help. Is it always straight middle field? No. But somewhere in the vicinity, there is great post help. We had an amazing play, and Troy and his staff is in here, and we had an amazing play in our stadium, big stadium, when we played them. They came to our place. And our safety, who had a post safety, they threw the ball deep on a play action to Schumann. He should have made an amazing catch with that, should have been a touchdown. But our safety had a chance to step right in front of it, get an interception on that. That was an amazing play, but that was the chance for us with having post help there, that he could step in front of that, and he made the play on that. Eventually we still lost, and we all know they won the German Bowl. But that was one of the things that really sold our guys again on, hey, post help is a good thing. Our corners know, our linebackers know if they're in deep coverage with them, in some kind of man coverage. Post help is your friend. The other thing for us that we have a post safety, we can talk to the guy and say, never bite on play action. And I've played a lot of cover 4 in the past as well. And there, you always have the issue for the safeties. Watch, get your edge read and all that, but then when there's play action or so forth, you're in that bind. How are you going to do that? And we just don't want to coach that. We don't have the guys for that, to be honest, and we don't want to coach that, and that's why we're going with that. Hey, you're the post safety, you're deep safety, play action doesn't matter. You read 3-step, and any negative 3-step read for you, you're deep. And that makes it easier for us. That's one of the less things for them that they have to worry about. And then we're looking at cover 3 as well with the post safety help. We're trying to get the ball outside, trying to get those 50-50 throws, and hopefully have some guys that are good enough, tall enough to win those 50-50 balls, or at least make those 80-20 balls. That the completion rate is 20%. If we get that, if we deflect or they can't complete 8 out of 10 plays, life is good for us. That's the point that we want to get to. Looking at overlapping zones, I explained that in the beginning already a little bit. We work everything with our cover 3 system. This is not rocket science. I mean, everybody probably knows this. Working everything inside out. We know we're going to give up the flats. Majority of the time, field flat. I just did our research. Did our self-scout. Fields flats, that's where we gave up most plays. Well, no shit. We should. It's cover 3. That's where you should throw the ball to majority of the time. And then you just got to ask yourself, is the offense continuously going to do that? Dave's looking at me. Yes, you do. And you guys did that and scored some points on that. But you got to, like I said, you got to give up something. You got to understand where your weak spots are. That's why we work inside out. We want to rally out there, get out there, and force the ball or force the quarterback to make the throw that's furthest away from him. Ball's the longest time in the air, gives us, with eyes on the quarterback, the highest chance of getting to the ball. That's what we're trying to do. When we talk with our DBs and with our linebackers, we relate to wide receivers, so it's kind of a match system. We're not a true landmark drop team. but we're also, depending what the receivers do, we do have our landmarks. So the landmarks get you in the direction, the receivers get you in the position where you want to be within your zone. That's what we're talking about, that's what we're coaching on. And then especially for the DBs, we talk a lot about lean and balance. I'll go into that in more detail here in a little bit. So working inside out, pretty easy. If you see this, this is, we're lining up in a two-high system, two-high shell that we can spin either way, and that we can play cover 2 out of that, we can play some cover 4 out of that, and then we'll rotate somebody down so that we get a 4 under 3 deep zone. In this scenario, our field safety is coming down. He is the curl to flat player. This is where we talk overlapping zones, always inside out. So you're always buying time for the guy inside of you to get out to his zone. So you get the curl to flat player. He's coming down the curl, working inside out, going to the flat. And then you get the hook to curl player, and depending how you do it, some people have 5 underneath zones, some have 7. That's all philosophy, I guess, on that. But most people start with 5 underneath zones, and then you somehow gotta find a way with 4 guys to cover 5 zones. So that's what we're doing there. Clip here, if we're looking to the field side right here, our field safety is gonna spin down. He's coming down. Our outside backers working inside out on number 2. We're trying to buy time for the strong curl player with the safety that's spinning down, and then he's initially coming down to buy time. We saw that that's the screen in the backfield here. Our safety's working from the inside to the outside, still keeping leverage, forcing everything back inside. That's where the help is at. So that's what we're trying to do, making a play right there and getting that. On this one here, same thing. If you see our safety again, also buying time. We got a little play action here, outside backer, bit on the play action fake here, a little too long. But our safety's coming down, initially starting at about 10 yards, working downhill, starting in the curl, buying time for the strong curl defender to come downhill or come outside, and then he's working outside, working to the receiver, and then again we got pursuit coming to the ball. If the receivers, and this is now the part relating to wide receivers or relating to landmarks, if the receiver is within your zone, then we want to relate to the receiver. If the receiver disappears, then we're going to relate to our landmark, and so let's look at that. Initial thing right here, we're spinning again, field side spin in this scenario here. We're coming downhill with the safety. So right now, want to relate to the receiver. He's in my zone, so I'm going to relate to the receiver. Stay with him. Stay within the vicinity of that receiver. Initially, my zone is 15 yards deep, but if there's nobody 15 yards deep, why be 15 yards deep? That's what we're talking about when we're saying relate to receivers. Giving the quarterback the look, hey, we got your receivers covered up, all right? Hopefully getting some pressure on the quarterback, and then eventually making him run. Unfortunately, he got a first down here on this one, but it's more about relating to the receivers, finding a way to cover them up, and then go from there. Now, if the receiver, like I said, if the receiver disappears, talk a lot about any routes under 5 yards or no cover routes for us, like everybody does pretty much. And if he disappears, now you're going to go to your landmark. Landmark, very traditional cover 3 landmarks. You get the flat defender who's going to go out to the numbers. 12 yards top of the numbers for the field, 12 yards boundary, the numbers for the boundary. Flat defender, strong curls roughly at 12 yards. If it's 3-step, then you're a little shallower. If you're getting seen 5-step by the cue, then you're going to sink a little deeper. The longer the play develops, the deeper you're going to sink. So basic things that everybody does if they're running cover 3. Looking here, if you're looking at boundary safety, we're pre-spinning this here a little bit. We're in a 2-by-2 situation with Keel up there at their place. Spinning down, number 2 disappears. If you see that here, number 2 runs an under route, he disappears, so our boundary safety, his landmark is 12 yards. Bottom of the numbers right there, so he's right in the comeback window. Great drop in his, on on his behalf right here. Now it was 4th down. Now all we got to do, we're still in position to get upfield, make the play. Unfortunately, we don't tackle well. We jump by the guy and we don't get off the field. But my whole point is when guys disappear, work to your lane mark, play the ball from right there. You should see the ball coming out. You should be able to react to the play and still be able to make a play. Lean versus balance. When we're in a true cover 3, which what I said is we got to find a way to stop 4 verticals. We do see quite a bit of 10 personnel, or I should say 4 vertical threats with our opponents. If we have 4 vertical threats, you got to find a way for cover 3 to put your players in a position where they can stop that. And that's what we talk with our guys a lot with lean versus balance. And if you look here to the field side, our corner to the field side would be in a balanced situation. He gets 2 vertical release, so he needs to not lean on one of the receivers, because if you lean on one, the other one's going to be open. You got to balance that. You got to find a way to stay over top. And it's this old Bill Cowher. He was talking, especially for the safeties, you got to be at 25 when they're 10, so you can break downhill. You got to lead post wide side, so you can, because it's a lot of times hard to throw the boundary seam and so forth. That's all what Bill Cowher always talked about. So that's the exact same system. Talking to our corners, you got to be able to break downhill. And then the corner said, well, how can I stop the comeback? Well, you can't in this scenario. It's not your job. You got to have the underneath defender stop that. It's your job to stop the touchdown. That's pretty plain simple with that. Now to the boundary side, you see if 2 disappears. Now I can lean back, I can fall back, I can play over top. And this is when it becomes man-to-man. That's when Nadine over there, for example, she talked about that's when you lean into the receiver, look and locate and so forth. But you should have eyes on the quarterback anyway, so you're playing the ball more and more. But eventually, in the end, it becomes man-to-man with that. So looking at this here, if we're looking at, on this one here, looking at the field side, even though it's a 4 vertical threat with this, in this scenario, because with Kiel, they're running back at times, or they're fullback at times, split out and ran some vertical stuff. So we had to talk to our corners. Looking at the field corner here right now, he sees 2 disappear. His initial path, he opened up to a little bit to the inside, and then now he's falling back. Now you can lean outside because 2 is not a vertical threat anymore. Our safety doesn't have any issues with covering the other verticals that could possibly come, and we can lean back on the receiver and fall back onto him. Here in this scenario, if you're watching to the boundary here, this is at Cologne, our corner sees that he has a 2 vertical release, so now he's working back inside to the numbers. We're in a fire zone situation here right now with a true 3 shell over top. Our corner sees that that he has a 2 vertical release, so he has to balance this. And then when he sees that the safety is eventually running with, sinking with him in the seam, now he can start leaning back. Same thing to the field. We're actually opening a little too wide here. Should be a little balancing that a little bit more. But with number 2 going truly to the post, he knows that the safety's out there. And the key point for the safety is initially or eventually that he has to balance both vertical releases of 2s and hopefully try to get help underneath that people get out of the seam. Yep.
Coach, what are the rules for the curl to flat player? Is he playing skate there, right?
Yeah, for us, if you call it scarf, we're match carry delivery, yeah, but pretty much. That's what we would do in that scenario. And this here, last clip on this one here, you'll see it here to the boundary. Omari's initially seen also vertical release by both receivers, so he's going to work on balance, balance, balance. Now 1 is breaking off in this scenario, so now he can lean on number 2, the inside receiver, and just tighten everything down. On top, Jonas, our German kid here, is doing a great job here. This is a great position right there. He's in a balanced situation. He could break downhill on both routes, forcing the play, if anything, to the furthest receiver, should be able to get to the ball when he gets a good break if the ball is coming out. And yeah, ball didn't come out. Well, it did come out, but on that. Now, looking at cover 3, do you have a question?
Yes. So, on the field side, the ball travels further along. If you get a double vertical release, and the quarterback's supposed to split. So that triggers the long ball to the outside, which is what we want.
Yeah.
So on the field side, I don't see that being a problem because the ball travels so long, and you just eat up the long balls to the boundary because then the receiver basically has the space that he wants to.
Well, sure. That's the issue with cover 3. Now, the other thing that you could say though, that the seam, the boundary seam route is a lot harder to throw because you're thrown over top of people. So now you could lean a little bit more to the number 1 receiver outside, and that's where you need the seam defender underneath to force people out of the seam to the boundary so the boundary corner can play a little further outside. Yes, yeah. Now, same thing, if you're in a 4 vertical situation, down in distance, so forth, you know your opponent runs 4 verticals, most likely I would try not to call out a true cover 3. I'd run some variations out of that that we can deter opponents from throwing that. But yes, you are correct. If you're in a true balance on that, and that's where you got to see where is that balance point for field and boundary. That's a little different depending on the underneath help. Or you say, hey, we're going to have a fire zone. Now we got more pressure. Should they even be able to get the deep ball? Because if it's a quick step throw, now the throw is going to happen a lot quicker. But I'm not that far to balance situation yet because you're in a quick game. Only in a 5-step game when you anticipate the ball being caught 30, 40 yards downfield. That's when you're more in that balance situation. So talk about spin, cover 3. With too high shelled, you gotta have some kind of spin to get to that cover 3. We can strength spin, we can field spin, boundary, box, running back spin, whatever you want to do. I mean, here just a couple examples. This one would be a field spin. You saw that already on film. We can boundary spin with that depending on who our 4th rusher is. Next thing is we can spin into the box. We do that too. And also strength spin, especially against some 2-back 20, 21 personnel. We'll do some strength spin, but we can spin the other way as well, depending what we want to do, how you want to get into that. But that's just take a drawing board and you'll find 50 million ways of finding different spins. So looking at cover 3 here, looking at cover 3, especially against 2x2 and 2x1 personnel and formations, we will be more true cover 3 against certain formations and backfield sets than against others. We'll also do it game plan wise depending on our opponent, what we anticipate and so forth. So we have a couple variations that I'm going to be talking about here in a second eventually. So this is true cover 3 here, coming downhill, coming to the boundary. Our boundary defender is the flat defender. Again, he's the flat defender, so he should work inside out, initially denying that seam release by number 2. Seam release by number 2 is not there. Now he can work out to the flat. We're working with eyes on the quarterback. Normally we'd like to work through number 1 when we're coming out. I don't have to work through number 1 because the ball is already coming out, so I can drive on the ball and come downhill. This is one of our backups, did a nice job in space here on 1st down with an out route, even though he came from about 10 yards deep, working downhill, still making a play for a 2-yard gain. All right, so that's a good job on his end, working inside out, getting there. That was early in the season. We didn't run as well early in the season as we did later in the season. Spinning to the boundary here right now, same thing, working inside out. Initially, stop the vertical release, hang in the curl there, even though our weak curl defender is there a little quicker. We could relate a little earlier to the outside, but working in a true cover 3, coming outside, working to the man on that. Should be a pick. I don't think, no, we didn't get a pick on that. But that was a great job working downhill and outside to the boundary side on that. This is up in Berlin. We always struggle up there. We can't win up there. We'll find a way. Against a two-back set, this is where we like also cover 3 because it puts us multiple eyes on the quarterback. We also get great run support out of that. working inside out. You see our field safety again working inside out. Now, if 2 goes inside, if 2 disappears inside, now we're coming up. Corner does a great job getting to the ball right there. They said he was early. I thought he was way too late on that. But it's close. And that's a tough thing for the refs. How do you see that? That's in slow motion, you can see that. But every defensive coach wants to kind of make that play. And that gives us a chance. If they're throwing wide side slant, we still get a chance to work inside out with the safety and work in the corner downfield, getting that play off, or getting the ball disruption on that play. We can change spin depending on motion, depending what teams are doing. Now we're working to the boundary here. On this one, still got a vertical release. On that, our boundary safety's hanging inside first, should get out there a little further to his landmark, but still with a true cover 3 has the chance to work inside out, especially in that type of situation with a 2nd and long. Okay, if we give up a couple yards here, even if we give up a 5-yard hitch, we still got 3rd and 9. We're still in good shape. Let's get off the field on long yardage down. On this one here, nice thing here, this is a crossing pattern. This is more for the inside backers. Never jump any underneath route. We talk about that whenever there's an under, there's an over. So if you're looking at our Mike backer here on the inside, he sees the underneath route. No, come back. There's a crosser coming. Our Will in that scenario sees the running back coming out, or initially sees number 1 coming in. Hey, don't have to get a jam on him. That's an underneath route. So I can widen with the wheel on that. And AJ to the field should drop out a little further to the field, and both field players should drop out a little further than the tackles. Would be easier to make, but covering the crossing routes with that works very well for us in our cover 3 system, because we should have, eventually you should have somebody, should have numbers, hash numbers, and can have a compression tackle everywhere on the field where the ball is going to. And then this is up at this is our place against Potsdam here. This is one of the deep ball situations here. We got eventually a 4 vertical threat out of this, so the corner and safety have to balance. Now number 2 disappears, so now both corner and safety can play over top, can get to the ball, and now play the ball. You basically become the receiver, and we have that post help, which gives the corner, even though the post player kind of gets overran here, but gives the corner the security blanket. Hey, I got deep post help, and even if that route pushes so far inside. Right here, if nobody's in your zone and you see quarterback scramble, make a play, find a guy, and great job right here. Quarterback didn't see him. And we relied on Amari here quite a bit. We knew he can cover this guy man-to-man, so we can keep our safety more inside because they had a very dangerous running back catching the ball. They also had an elusive runner, so we can keep the Will, or the Mike in this scenario, keep him further inside. And that gives us a chance when the quarterback checks down to make that play. Here, some play action stuff on this one here. Linebackers, especially against Berlin, they ran the ball very well this year again. And they're going to come downhill pretty fast, but on the outside gives us a chance to cover inside out, relate to receivers, underneath balls not coming. Now we get, and this is one of the great things here, we get eyes on the cue, we get 4 people on the ball, gives us a chance to make a play on the ball in the air, and gives us another chance for a pick on that one. Also, 2-by-1 situation. Here, playing a true cover 3 on that, so we don't have to lean really on anybody. We can, balance anybody. We can really lean on people in this scenario. Our boundary corner had another great play on this, but we still have post help. If that seam route becomes a skinny post, our post player still has a chance. That gives the corner a chance to undercut that eventually and make a play on the ball. On that, and I think this was the same play here. Okay, so I think everybody saw that. Now, looking at some variations, we can't sit in cover 3 all game. Can't do that because our opponents are way too good for that. to know that what we're going to do. So we will have some variations of that. We have some man-zone combinations where we're going to play a lot of man inside and man outside and play zone inside. Especially we like that against the quick game, RPOs, and also some of the 5-step vertical stuff that we can have more people on receivers. I'll also go through our hard corner coverages that have a 3D principle behind them, where that gives us a chance to, especially against some 3x1, but also against some 2x1 and 2x2 still, giving the corners a chance to play a little more aggressively, and with everybody knowing, hey, they're going to give up the flats, we got to counter that somehow. And then obviously a three-fire zone look that everybody does. With our man zone scheme, like I said, we're playing a lot of man outside and then playing zone inside. So we're looking, our underneath defenders always know they got a cut player underneath. Cut player meaning either the jack or the Mike will have any in-breaking route, so they will have inside help on that. But they also have post help. So this is the same premise again, forcing throws deep outside where it's a low percentage throw. That's the whole plan of what we're doing behind that. 3x1, doing the same thing. We're going to play man on the outside to the boundary. There is really no man to play on number 2 because there is no number 2. So the half knows that he has a cut player inside for any quick underneath routes, and but he also knows that he will have post help. And then to the field we'll have 3 underneath defenders, or 1 man and two guys that will open more towards the field against any 3x1 situation. So looking at some film here, playing more of the man outside here right now. Good break by our corner, working to the ball and having a chance to get a pick on that. Working with quite a bit of off man here, and also seeing our inside defender working man. He knows he has the cut player, so he's going to take that in for just a step, buy time for the inside defender to get out there, and the corner still also knows that he has inside help on the inside cut player and post help. Good play by the corner here, getting a pick on that. This is up at Hildesheim. Same thing here. We're playing, if we're looking to the boundary on this one here, you're seeing our outside linebackers playing man on number 2 in this scenario. Working outside in, he can undercut the play. Ball got deflected in the line of scrimmage. Our D-line did a great job on that one here. And still we get the post player in the middle, and you see that you get the 2 cut players inside to the boundary. You'll have one of the inside backers, the field backers, opening to the boundary right away because he read Q. And we knew in certain situations they were going to throw the ball more boundary, so that's where we're opening that way. Another play right here, very similar situation. All right, very similar situation. We know that the field side flat is going to be open. He should have caught that ball. We know field side flat is going to be open. Corner takes it along with his transition and breaks. I guess I got to get Nadine to coach those corners. And but we're still rallying out, even though we were in man, playing outside man. We can still see that. We can get out there. That would have been a 3-yard gain. With a 3-yard gain on first down, we're still happy with that. Working right here, we talked about the weak side seam. Our safety's not doing a great job of having the receiver run through his hip, but that's still a tough ball to throw to. We saw it in the Super Bowl, right? Saw it in the Super Bowl, the inside seam, a skinny post. Quarterback sees the open receiver, sees somebody underneath. I can't underthrow that guy. I can't underthrow that guy. I can't underthrow that guy. And then G-Money threw the ball over top. It should have been a touchdown, but it was way overthrown the ball. With the ball. So same scenario here, basically, that we're forcing, we know that we have post safety help force that guy inside. Could have done a little better jam on that, but forcing a tough throw, a tough ball, and even if he catches that, we get a guy there that could get a good collision on number 2 in that scenario. Playing man here right now on the outside. Get an inside release here, especially to the boundary, so we get some help. Has to run through 2 guys. To the field, we're playing some off man on that as well with the corner, and then carrying everything outside with with our outside linebacker, and he has a chance eventually to undercut that ball because he does know that he has over top help eventually by the safety, so that gave us a chance there. Now, here against 3-by-1 in this scenario here, against some double tight stuff, what Braunschweig's doing a great job with, and playing outside, playing man outside, hoping to give us a chance that we get a little bit of speed, that we can match their speed, forcing our inside linebacker on the ball, forcing him to run towards the curl, but also knowing that he has over the top help, and then giving the quarterback a look. Hey, that's fuzzy look, not sure where he can throw the ball to, taking 2 routes away on the outside, having over the top help on the corner or on the tight end, and then giving us a chance to eventually get to the quarterback, making him throw the ball away. Same formation here again. And you see with this one here, we're bringing our corner as the post player. Decide to go with a different rotation on that. Playing man on the outside, I think Jonas hesitated a little long here. Could have gotten there earlier. Possibly couldn't gotten there with deflection. I think he's taking his eyes off, not trusting himself in this one a little bit. But trust your eyes. I mean, if he runs a hitch, he's probably going to catch a hitch. Otherwise, run through his upfield shoulder, and if he runs a hitch and go, and then you're going to be good. But that's the variations that we play. Some man on the inside, man on the outside, sorry, and some zone stuff on the inside. Our hard corner stuff. When we play our hard corner, it's pretty simple. The thing with hard corner, you want to play inside out. We talked a lot about playing inside out earlier, but the issue always is here when you're playing with your hard corner, how are you going to play the flat defender curl to flat when he's already in the flat? It's kind of hard to do because you don't want to run him in 10 yards and run him back out. That doesn't make any sense. So that's where you got to buy some time from the inside out, but also that you don't always play your hard corner coverages against 3-by-1, that you got a little variation that the offense doesn't know exactly what's coming. Especially against quick game, we like that. We like it against some of the screen games, sprint out. 5-step at times can be a little tricky with that because you're getting some free releases, but we had some answers for that as well. So here, if you're watching our field corner, he's the hard corner coming, basically sitting in the flat right there, taking the quick read for the quarterback away, giving the other guys time to get to their spots, and then forcing the quarterback for an underneath throw that he doesn't want to make, and giving us a chance to get a deflection. Same thing right here. To the field, coming inside there. Now, on the other hand, with that, obviously you're putting your guy in the boundary on an island. That's where we had the opportunity, the chance to get a very good, very exciting with what we had there. With Omari, get a good corner that squeezes everything down, forces a hard throw, and could have gotten a little more help underneath, but that's the hard corner side on that side. Here to the field, I said screen, great play against screen because it's hard to block him right there. What we try to do, hey, if it's a block, it should be a block in the back, or they somehow have to bring number 2 out, and as it's a good change up for us, great play on that one. Even with a 4-by-1, we still like that as well. And Marburg did a great job of putting the ball all over the place, but giving us a chance here to make a play. Should have made, this should have been a safety on this one, obviously, but still getting a short yardage. Here, up in the semifinals, same scenario here, 4-by-1, getting the guy down for a 0-yard gain. Very good coverage for us. This one here is on sprint out, having the quarterback hang on to the ball, making throws that he's not comfortable with, throwing the ball late back inside because we're covering up outside in on this scenario. And actually our nose right now is making a pick here, and he's going to play for the Scorpions this year because we lost him, unfortunately, but he's a fun player to be around with. And then another one here with Marburg. Ball is going to come out. This is more 5-step stuff here right now that we're doing, that they're doing against us, so we can play over top a little longer and still getting a good tackle on that. I know we're running out of time here. Let me see. This is true 5-step deep ball here. They're running little flat curl concept with blowing the top of the coverage here, giving us a chance with having those flat defender and curl defender right there in space, and also having over the top coverage, slowing things down for our end, making the quarterback hold on to the ball a little longer than he wants to, and then we're good with that. Last thing here, last 2 minutes, I think I got 2 minutes left. We're going to go into some of the fire zone stuff. That's where we'll have more of a true cover 3, any type of fire zone that you could come up with. I mean, you can rush any 5 and again, get a notepad, you'll find 1,000 ways to rush 5. Especially like that at times against 2x1, but also against 10 personnel. Now playing with lots of eyes, and we talked about that we'll have, we got it right here, that we talked earlier here. Some people call it scarf, some people call it skiff defenders, we call it seam defenders. Our guys that work on the hashes basically get a hole defender who's the underneath hole, and then you get the 3D coverage over top with that. So here, working, you'll see that we're bringing our safety down as the seam defender here. He's holding on to number 1 who's coming inside. Our corner sees ball coming out quickly so he can drive on that. We still get a 3-yard gain on a 2nd and 10, puts us at 3rd and 7, so we're still in good situation here. This is, of course, if you're bringing pressure, you're gonna get a lot of screens as well. With not sure why Jadrian didn't throw the ball here, and I don't think he's that scared of us, but was holding on to the ball, probably was expecting something a little different out of this one here, and giving us a chance to get our rush through, getting to the quarterback on that. And then 3x1, also running that against 3x1, another screen in this situation, so the hole defender has to open a little bit more towards the hole, or we're keeping one of our outside guys as the extra hole defender in that scenario, and getting downhill, still getting enough people to the ball and seeing that. Last clip that we're going to show here, another screen that we're going to see behind the line of scrimmage. And the great thing that I like here is that you see 4 guys immediately running to the ball. I don't like the pursuit by some of our D linemen on this one here, but you see immediately guys running to the ball because we got eyes on the ball, and we can get that going from there. All right, I know we got Q&A session coming up, I think, over there. Thanks a lot for paying attention to me. And if you got questions, just stop by and we'll talk more.